And we're back, folks, right here in WrestleRant. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and right here on the show, I break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. And through the next few weeks, we're breaking down every installment in Armageddon pay-per-view history. Today, we're talking about Armageddon 2003. So the event opened with Booker T versus Mark Henry, a match that happened for no real rhyme or reason. They might have been in opposite teams the month prior at Survivor Series in Team Bischoff versus Team Austin. Other than that, I have no idea why this match would have happened. It just wasn't that good. Mark Henry wasn't that good. Booker T tried his best to kind of get him to a good match, get a decent match out of him. He failed. I would not have disliked this match as much as I did if they did cut it in half. It was a 10-minute long match, which was completely unnecessary. It didn't need to happen in the opener. I don't know, I feel like Orton and RVD, I understand that was a big moment, but it went on second. I feel like you could have accomplished that same thing, the big moment with Orton and RVD, just going on first. Orton winning, Foley coming out, being the special guest referee, which helped build, their feud up, leading to WrestleMania, which was great. You could have done the same thing in the opener, or even Shawn Michaels and Batista, I feel like would have been a better match in the opener than this. Just not a good match at all. Booker T wins. He kicked out of the axe. I think he might have hit him with a bookend to win it. I'm not exactly sure, but if he hit him with the axe kick and ended it there, I would have been completely content because the match went a lot longer than it needed to, bottom line. But after that, as they mentioned, for the Intercontinental Championship, Randy Orton taking on RVD in an impromptu match with Mick Foley as the special guest referee. Intercontinental Championship on the line. The first half of it was pretty good. I thought the second half was just a lot better. I thought they gelled for the most part. Their two styles meshed perfectly. Foley did not, was not a complete distraction as special guest referee. Most times I forgot he was even there. But they still planted the seeds for dissension between Orton and RVD. Orton and Mick Foley leading to WrestleMania and their future feud over that same championship that Orton would hold for the next 7 months going into 2004. And Orton was just so great in 2003. Pretty much almost all of 2004, he was just on absolute fire as a single star at that period in time. It made perfect sense to put the belt on him when they did in December of 2003 after a really good match with Rob Van Dam, RVD putting over Orton like $1 million, RKO out of nowhere, Orton becomes the new Intercontinental Champion. And as I said, with Foley having to reluctantly make the 3 count, planting the seeds for their future feud down the line. So after that, we had some pretty entertaining antics, or an entertaining match, I guess, entertaining intergender tag team match. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it was executed a lot better than I thought it would be. An intergender tag team match between Chris Jericho and Christian, and Trish Stratus and Lita. Of course, this was... I knew of the feud between Jericho, Christian, then Trish and Lita with the whole Canadian coin thing. I bet I can get with this girl before you can get with yours, whatever. I never knew, though, that it led to a intergender tag team match on one of the pay-per-views. I completely forgot about it. I never knew that. So it was kind of fun to watch that, unfold. And as I've talked about before in past reviews of Armageddon and other pay-per-views, this is something that you would never see nowadays with men versus women. I can't even remember the last intergender tag team match, intergender match, period, that we got that wasn't a guy and girl versus guy and girl. This was 2 guys versus 2 girls. Jericho and Christian probably sold for the women a little bit more than they should have, just because realistically, Christian and Jericho would have won by a landslide, but it did make the match more fun, so it wasn't a complete squash. They told a good story. Lita was involved in an intergender tag team match as well a few years earlier, I think in 2000 with Malenko in the Radicals, so she was no stranger to intergender tag team matches at Armageddon. Same with Jericho, who faced China at Armageddon 1999 to win the Intercontinental Championship. So a lot of history between these combatants here. But in the end, it was Jericho and Christian scoring the victory after Jericho was hesitant to put away Trish for the win, and then Christian capitalized, pinned Trish to score the victory. Christian would be the one to go heel. Trish would join him at WrestleMania, and just this whole feud was just so great. So really good stuff here. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, basically. After that, we had Shawn Michaels versus Batista, after Batista caused Shawn Michaels the victory at Survivor Series, or rather Team Austin, the victory at Survivor Series the month prior. In a really good match. I thought this was really fun for what it was. A lot better. It wasn't Batista that we would come to know a few years later, but still a lot better than the Batista-Kane match from the year earlier, which was just not good at all. I thought Shawn Michaels, then again, it's like apples and oranges. You got fucking Kane and then Shawn Michaels, so that really is kind of a no-brainer, but still, a very fun match. Batista looked strong in defeat here. He got pissed afterwards. He attacked Maven to disallow the match between Hardy and Maven, Matt Hardy, that is, to not come to fruition. Matt Hardy celebrating as if he won the match, making the 3 count anyway, which was pretty entertaining. But in terms of this match between HBK and Batista, I thought it was really, really good. Kind of, again, planting the seeds, a little bit of a preview of what we would expect from the two. About 5 years down the road in 2008, and one of my favorite matches from that year, that stretcher match between the two at One Night Stand in 2008. So again, a really fun match. These two have always had some really good chemistry with each other. And I love the finish too, with Batista going for the Batista bomb, only for Michaels to slip out of it, land on his feet, boom, sweet chin music to score the 1-2-3. And I love how he doesn't cover Batista. He falls on Batista after hitting the move. You know, a la WrestleMania 12 with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the Iron Man match, you know, in the sudden death. So still, really fun match. Shawn Michaels wins. Batista gets pissed, as is said, attacking maybe that whole shtick. But they get so pissed that they don't go away. And Ric Flair does tease Batista. He does promise Batista that they will walk out of Armageddon with some gold around their waist. So speaking of which, up next with the Tag Team Turmoil, a matchup for the World Tag Team titles. La Resistance getting knocked off by Rosie and the Hurricane. Val Venus and Lance Storm come out, pin them very quickly. Or I think rather Jindrak and Lance Cade did, or Garrison Cade, whatever the fuck their names were. They beat Val Venus and Lance Storm after that. The Dudley Boys come out, who were the then World Tag Team Champions, beat Jindrak and Cade. They beat Test and Scott Steiner, seemingly winning the match and becoming or retaining the tag team titles, only for Eric Bischoff to announce that there was one more team they had to go through, and it was, of course, Batista and Ric Flair. And they would go on to become the new World Tag Team Champions by quickly beating the Dudley Boys. So a cool moment. The match itself was kind of a disappointment. It almost 20 minutes long. None of the 5-6 matches, whatever the math was, they weren't really that good. Most of them were pretty transitional, which is why I don't typically like these kind of turmoil matches, just because they're like that. You know, you can't really, as soon as you get invested in one of the matches, it's on to the next team, you know. So, but like I said, I did like the idea of Evolution walking out of the night, ending the night as all, you know, champions, which was pretty cool. After that, for the women's championship, Molly Holly beating Ivory in a pretty shitty match, to be honest with you. Molly Holly, I thought, was an underrated women's champion, and Jim Ross made a great, interesting observation during the match that Molly Holly might have been, up to that point anyway, in my opinion, the best wrestling women's champion they ever had. And they had a lot of good women's champions, but not as good wrestlers as Molly Holly, in my opinion. So, I don't know if that's accurate, but up to that point, she was pretty damn good. This wasn't a good match. Ivory sucked. The match was over in 4 or 5 minutes. No one gave a shit. More of a filler than anything else after the tag team title change. And then we did the main event, a triple threat match, the World Heavyweight Championship. Goldberg defending the gold against Kane and Triple H. The real feud here was between Triple H and Goldberg. Kane was just thrust in there for really no reason. And you figure, like, oh, he's going to be in the match to take the pinfall for Goldberg or Triple H. And not even that was the case. Goldberg got pinned here, and Triple H won the belt back. So Goldberg, for whatever reason, just did not click in WWE. It seemed like all the tools, all the makings were there for him to have a great, you know, dominant run in WWE. But it just didn't really work out that way for whatever reason. People just were not getting beyond Goldberg. And just as they might have been when he was World Heavyweight Champion, they took the title off him. And they made him look like a complete goof, like a jabroni, in losing to Evolution, on all the Evolution interference and all that bullshit. So anyway, Triple H pins Goldberg to win back the World Heavyweight Championship for whatever time it was. Kane really had nothing to do with this whatsoever. The match just was not that good. A lot of just big spots between three big power guys. You didn't have a Benoit or a Shawn Michaels in there to really keep the pace consistent or exciting. It was just kind of spot. A very dull, formulaic triple threat match, in my opinion. But we end the night. It was a cool sight. I did not mean to rhyme there, but we do end the night with a cool sight. The Evolution, all championships around their waist. We have Triple H as the World Heavyweight Champion, Randy Orton as the Intercontinental Champion, and Batista and Ric Flair as the World Tag Team Champions. So, overall, I thought it was a better overall show than 2002. Still not that great of a show. The opener was not good. Orton and RVD was pretty good. The Intergender Tag Team match was fun. Michaels and Batista was really good. And then just from there, I felt like the final hour and a half just kind of fell off a cliff. The main event was not good. The women's match was not good. And the tag team title match was kind of boring too. So, again, we go from to like right back down. Like kind of like a roller coaster of a show. So, any one match to check out, I would say, honestly, It's hard to say. Either, I would say, you know what, actually, Michaels and Batista. I think that was a real breakout performance for Batista. A real breakout performance for him. A great showing from Shawn Michaels, putting over a star even in him winning. Jericho and Christian and Trish Lee had a pretty fun intergender tag team match. And Orton and RVD was pretty good too. But yeah, I thought Batista and Michaels might have been the match of the night, other than the IC title match, though. Check out those 1 or 2 matches from Armageddon 2003. So until next time, guys, of course, my next video will be covering Armageddon, obviously, 2004, so stay tuned for that in the coming days. But until then, in the meantime and in between time, you guys can follow me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant, on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Don't forget that .Matthews. And also right here on YouTube by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your week or weekend, or whatever the hell it might be. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.